Watch YouTubers. On this Stamp It Sunday, I thought it'd be nice for me to do a video, and I recently got the Stamp Club delivered to me, and that's from Craftwork Cards. So what I thought I would do is just do a short video on something that I made with that. And that something was this mini palette art featuring lollipop sticks and some letters and the stamps that came in the kit. So it's a very simple concept, just lots of lollipop sticks stuck together, then painted, stamped and decorated. The video I've tried to keep as short as possible, but I've got in as many of the key points as possible about the techniques that I've used. So listen, I hope you enjoy it, and without further ado, let's crack on. So this be the stamping starter kit, and it's full of absolute goodies. So within the stamping starter kit, I've got my die cut sentiment sheets, my die cut tags, my die cut tag sheets, and also some postcards and A5 cardstock, and there's absolutely loads in here. There's my scalloped die cut tags, which I think are fabulous. I'm definitely going to make use of those. There's my cardstock, A5 and A6, and there are my die cut tags, which are brilliant. They'll come in very useful for sentiments, and here is the actual stamps. So if I open this up, inside there's a little wish list pad, which I think is beautiful. I'll probably stick that on my wall and start writing all the things that I want in the future. Let's hope there's enough pages. And then there are some little idea postcards, which are brilliant, all made by the very talented Julie Hickey, with instructions on the back. Okay, I shall have a look at those in a bit. And then here is the stamp sheet with a beautiful, beautiful flower that I think is going to be useful on so many occasions. So I think I'll clear the decks and get cracking. Good coffee. Right, so here's the stamps ready to go. And if I give you an A6 sheet of card as comparison, you can see this is a quite big stamp with a couple of brilliant sentiments. So I think what I'll do first is I will actually stamp it out onto a few things, and then I can sort of work out from there what I'm going to do. I'm going to use my Craft 2 stamping tool, and it's got these little foam pads that can position things before I press it down. So I'll just mount it on there first. Nice quality stamp, no stretch in it, it's good. Right, let's get it on here. So first things first, I think I'm going to prime it. Now, I tend to do this with a lot of my stamps, and it's just using an archival ink pad and making, a test stamp. And the reason I do this is because sometimes clear stamps can have, a residue of chemicals and things left on. So when you first stamp, your first impression isn't always the best. And actually, I think I might pop it onto the carrier sheet just so that I can have a little reference. Okay, nice design. I like it. Pop that back over there for now. Quite excited about this palette art. It's quite a fun thing to do. What I've done is I've made a palette piece from just lollipop sticks. So I've stuck 6 of these along a couple of carriers, and they're ready for me to do whatever I want to do. Now I could, actually I think I will. I was originally going to do it this way and then a sentiment somewhere over here, but actually, having just seen that, I think it would look beautiful right in the middle there. Now, to do it onto here, I actually want to paint onto it afterwards, so I am going to use some StazOn ink for this. Wouldn't always recommend it for use with clear stamps, as it can degrade the quality. However, As long as you're fairly quick to get it off afterwards and give it a good old clean, should be okay in the long run. Making sure I ink it as much as possible. I do love the smell of that stuff. And then I'm going to position that slap bang in the middle. Okay. Now the lollipops aren't even, so I'm giving this a good old shove all over to make sure that I get it in position. And make sure that it gets stamped all over. Now, because that's stuck in position, what I might be cheeky do is turn it over and actually also push the lollipop sticks. I mean, my crate. Okay, let's see. Did you work? Yes, you did. Now I'm slightly missing an outline in here, but that's not a problem because, as I say, I am going to paint over this, so the actual lines or whatever are going to disappear anyway. I just wanted the actual stamp and the flower as the reference point. So here's my stamped palette. I've got some Storm Cloud acrylic paint, nice and liquid and runny, and I'm going to use this to create a wash all over here. So let's wet my brush. Oops. Get me some of this on here. Now then, I'm not being too fussy or taking too much time over this because I just want a runny white wash over the whole thing. Don't worry about the water because remember we used Stays On ink, so that's going to resist the water, and I can still see the outline underneath, as you can tell. And I'm trying to follow the direction of the wood grain in the palette slash lollipop wood. But because this is quite watered down, it's actually seeping into and sinking into the wood anyway, so my brush strokes aren't currently really coming into play. For the next step, I've got some Dilutions mica sprays. I've got crushed grape, vibrant turquoise and bubblegum pink. Now these are quite liquid based, so they have a lot of liquid and then a little bit of mica in them as well. So they're not going to cover, they're just going to add a fabulous effect. Now a couple of these I haven't used, so as you can see there's not a huge amount of colour. This is more of an interference spritz or spray. There's a tint or a hint of a colour. Make sure this one's mixed up. Just do a little bit more purple. And then maybe a tiny bit more pink. Okay, time to leave that to dry. That's dried, and you can see that there is a beautiful pearlized effect. So the next thing I want to do is add some more colour. What I've got are some Liquitex paint markers, and these are fabulous. These are basically acrylic paint in a marker, so you can actually just draw with them. Now, I do have a bit of a whiff, but I'm just going to edge the palette with these, just for a bit more definition. But I'm also going to just rub over with my finger once they're on, just to sort of dumb it down and give it a bit more of an aged and weathered look, as if this palette's been on an outside wall. So that's the liquid markers done with. The next thing that I'm going to reach for is some Jo Sonja Pearl White paint, some Opera Rose Galleria acrylic paint, and some Windsor Violet. I'm not sure how much of that I'll use, but I'll come back to it in a minute. So with the Opera Rose, I'm going to put this out, and as you can see, it's a super bright pink. It's almost neon. But I want to tone it down a little bit, so I'm going to add, almost like toothpaste, a strip of that pearl white paint to it. Okay. Now, I'm not mixing these too much. I want them to kind of work together. So all I'm really doing is blobbing them, if you see what I mean, as opposed to mixing. And then these two colours together, hopefully, are going to form the flowers. And because I've mixed in the pearl white along with the Opera Rose, which is almost like a translucent colour, hopefully you will be able to make out that you can still see the detail of the stamping underneath. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the Windsor Violet, and this is again from Winsor & Newton, fabulous art supplies company, just a small blob of that one. And with this I am going to water it down a little, but I'm also every now and again going to pick up a little bit of that pink. Okay, while that purple wash layer dries, I am going to grab this kind of turquoise paint marker, scribble some onto my wash pad, pick it up with a wet brush and go into the leaves and start giving them some colour. Each layer that I'm doing, I don't know whether you've noticed so far, is actually quite wet and therefore quite translucent, so each layer is picking up the previous layer. Now then, for the stems, I am going to try and wipe them off a little bit. There. Right, looking good so far. Just need a bit more of this paint for leaves. I might change brush to a thinner one. Okay, actually, just going to use some of this turquoise to start dotting in the floral sprays. Right, there's quite a lot of watery wetness going on here right now, so I am just going to take a moment to go and dry that off. So here's where we're at so far. We've got various layers of different coloured paints. You've got acrylic paints and mica sprays and all sorts of things going on here, but at the moment it still looks a little bit washed out, so I'm going to add more intensity of colour next. Just going to speed things up a little so we can get through this. Now I don't actually have this colour in regular paint, so what I'm going to do is take a bit of my Dino Wakley Pebeo Studio Acrylics, iridescent blue green, sorry, and take some of this and use this as an extra little touch, because it will give a little bit more sparkle. Just going to add a touch more of this pink to the edges now that the original one is dried. This time I'm not going to smush it. This time I am just going to go with whatever comes out. Unless, of course, I get it in the wrong place, and then I will. Oops. Now then, I've got got some Brilliance ink pad here as well, pearlescent purple it says. So I'm just going to lightly dab this over the edges too. Right, okay. I think right now what I need to do is give that chance to fully dry. Maybe give it a blast with a heat gun. And then what I'm going to attempt to do is come back in and pick out all the detail again. Time for another quickie. So I think I'm almost done with this. What I'd like to do though is possibly add a sentiment either up here or down here or both. And maybe add some of this lovely sea breeze Versamagic chalk ink to the edges, just to sort of lighten it up a bit. Oh, maybe I've got a stencil that will help with this too. I wonder. I think I might use a cotton bud for this. I'll just get some over here. And then maybe just tiny dabs or something. Not too much. Just stippling really, I think. Yeah. Okay. There we go. So far so good. To decorate the letters, I first used a white chalk ink pad and then followed that up with a pink and purple Brilliance ink pad, just to really tone them in with the overall colour scheme of the palette art.
To finish them off, I used a little bit of the mica sprays that I used at the start of this project.
So there we have it, another creation done. I hope you enjoyed that video and took away something from it, maybe the techniques or maybe even just the idea of the lollipop stick art. Either way, thanks for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel here, or indeed subscribe via email on my blog gentlemancrafter.com. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again next time. For more hints, tips and tutorials, please subscribe to my YouTube channel or visit me on any of these social networking sites.